IFAF Training Tape 2021. Blocchi bassi. Regola 232. Blocchi sotto la cintura. Articolo 2. A. Un blocco sotto la cintura è un blocco nel quale la forza del contatto iniziale è sotto la cintura di un avversario che ha uno oppure entrambi i piedi a terra. Quando in dubbio, il contatto è sotto la cintura. Regola 916. Un bloccatore che effettua il contatto sopra la cintura e in seguito scivola sotto la cintura non ha bloccato sotto la cintura. Se il bloccatore entra in contatto per prima cosa con le mani del giocatore avversario all'altezza delle cintura oppure sopra, si ha un blocco legale sopra la cintura. Regola 916. Regola 916. Blocchi sotto la cintura. Articolo 6. A. Squadra A prima di un cambio di possesso di squadra. Gli uomini di linea, la cui posizione iniziale sia completamente all'interno della tackle box, possono bloccare legalmente sotto la cintura all'interno della tackle box o all'interno della free blocking zone fino al momento in cui la palla esce dalla tackle box. Tutti gli altri giocatori della squadra A possono bloccare sotto la cintura solo se la forza del contatto iniziale proviene dal davanti. Dal davanti è definito come la zona frontale, tra le 10 e le 2, verso cui è rivolta l'attenzione del giocatore che subisce il blocco. Regola 916. Blocchi sotto la cintura. Eccezioni. 1. I giocatori della squadra A non possono bloccare sotto la cintura quando il blocco avviene 5 yard o più oltre la neutral zone. 2. I giocatori fuori dalla tackle box allo snap o in qualsiasi momento dopo lo snap, oppure che siano in motion allo snap, non possono bloccare sotto la cintura, in direzione della posizione originale della palla al momento dello snap. Una volta che la palla è uscita dalla tackle box, un giocatore non può bloccare sotto la cintura in direzione della sua end line. Regola 916. Blocchi sotto la cintura. Articolo 6. A. Squadra B prima di un cambio di possesso di squadra. 1. I giocatori della squadra B possono bloccare sotto la cintura solo dentro l'area ricompresa tra due linee virtuali, parallele alla goal line, posizionate 5 yard prima e 5 yard oltre la neutral zone e che si estendono fino alla sideline. Per essere legale, questo blocco deve provenire dal davanti. Bloccare sotto la cintura da parte dei giocatori della squadra B fuori da questa zona è illegale, tranne che contro il portatore di palla. Regola 916. Blocchi sotto la cintura. Articolo 6. A. Calci. Durante un down in cui c'è un free kick o uno scrimmage kick, è illegale per qualsiasi giocatore bloccare sotto la cintura, eccetto contro il portatore di palla. B. Dopo un cambio di possesso di squadra. Dopo ogni cambio di possesso di squadra è illegale per qualsiasi giocatore bloccare sotto la cintura, eccetto contro il portatore di palla. Mofo 3.3. Falli di contatto. 4. Blocchi sotto la cintura e clipping. A. Quando in dubbio, la palla non è uscita dalla free blocking zone per blocchi da dietro. B. Per i primi 3 secondi dopo lo snap, quando in dubbio, la palla non ha lasciato la low blocking zone per blocchi dal davanti. Dopo questo lasso di tempo, la palla ha lasciato la zona. C. Il peelback block avviene quando la direzione della forza applicata dal bloccatore è in direzione sud-est o sud-ovest rispetto al campo di gioco, dove per sud si intende la endline della squadra A. Mofo 6.1. Principi di quando in dubbio. 37. Un blocco sotto la cintura è avvenuto prima, non dopo, che la palla ha lasciato la low blocking zone.
In this first example, we're looking at the running back here, A2, who's going to do this. And this is a legal block because, as you can see, if we freeze it, right there, the defender actually turns his side to the block after the running back has committed. So when the defender does that, it is not on the running back to make sure that the block is legal. He is lined up, squared up on the defender, so he's going to go 10-2, but because the defender turns his side there, that turns into a side block, but a legal one, because now it's on the defender. It is his responsibility. Now this sometimes is difficult because sometimes the defender turns after being hit, but here what we're looking for here is that they were hit, they were squared up before the hit happened. And we'll see some other examples where this is not the case. But here, when they're squared up before the hit happens and then the defender turns, this is a legal low block by A2. Once again, we're looking at the running back, but this is a different situation. Here, this is an illegal block since the defender is trying to go around him, and the running back never manages to get completely squared up. So when he initiates contact, it is from the side. Now it looks worse than it is simply because after the contact, or rather the contact also makes the defender turn. But if we see here where there was no way that the running back was ever going to make this a 10-2 block. So had this been done with the current rules, this would be an illegal low block. And I hope it's possible to see the difference from the first one where the defender turns himself. Here, the running back comes in from the side and creates the low contact at 3 o'clock. So here is a foul. Again, we're looking at the running back here, and he's going to make this block against B40, and this is an illegal block below the waist simply because it's from 3 o'clock. He needs to be 10-2 when he starts in the backfield. But it's an interesting one because let's say this had been 10-2. It would have been a legal block, and even if he had managed to make this block on his side of the original position of the ball in a 10-2 manner, it would have been a legal block since he is not restricted from the crackback rule. But in this situation here, since this is a 3 o'clock block, this is an illegal low block. Moving on to the O-line, we're looking at this guard right here. It's the right guard, but it's on the left side of the screen. And you'll notice that he makes a 3 o'clock block, but he starts out on the line of scrimmage, and he is in this situation allowed to go 3 o'clock. He is unrestricted, so this is a legal block in this situation. In this play, we're looking at the tackle closest to the camera, and again you'll notice that he is on the line of scrimmage, so he is allowed to block 3 o'clock, to make this block. Even though it looks bad for the defender, this is a legal block because he is on the line of scrimmage, and the timing of this block is such that this is a legal block. Here's another type of foul or block. We're looking at the snapper, the center, who's going to go downfield. Now, once he does that, he needs to go 10-2. He can no longer go 3 o'clock. He is now restricted. And even though he comes in apparently from the side, I think the way that the defender falls on his stomach, he falls forward, that to me is an indication that the the block was from the front. This is a 12 o'clock block simply because of the way the defender falls on his belly. And we'll see examples later of what it looks like when the defender is hit from the side. But here, when you see the defender fall like that, this is a block in the side, or a block from the front rather, a legal block from the front, a 12 o'clock block. Again, we're looking at the center and compare the last block to this one, where the last one, the defender fell on his belly. Here, you see that typical whip of the leg. That's when he's hit from the side, from one side, the leg on the other side will do this kick up, which is a clear indicator that the block was from the side. Where if he falls on his belly, that means the block was from the front. When he kicks up like this, that means the block was from the side. And in this situation, once the linemen go to the linebacker level, they have to go 10-2. So this is an illegal low block by the center. While the last play was on the play side, this block happens on the back side. So we're looking at the tackle away from the camera. And he's going to engage a linebacker, but he's going to do the same type of block as the center did in the previous play. And you'll notice that he comes in from 3 o'clock again, and the same thing happens with the defender's leg. It kicks out like this. It's a clear indicator that he was hit from the side, where if he's hit from the front, he's going to fall flat on his face, and the legs are not going to do anything. Here, when the block is 3 o'clock, you'll see the other leg kick up like that. It's a clear indicator. So this is, again, an illegal low block. And who's going to see this? Probably the best chance would be the backside wing. We might be able to get help from the umpire, but typically on a play like this, it would be the backside wing who has the best chance to catch this. And it would be nice to catch this because this is an illegal low block. Here we're looking at the tackle closest to the camera, and I included this one just to illustrate that the unrestricted part only applies as long as the ball is still in the tackle box. So the players, the block, and the ball all have to be in the tackle box for the restriction to be waived. As soon as the ball leaves the tackle box, now the offensive line is again restricted. So even though this block is from the front, you see how the defender falls forward, or rather it has to be from the front to be legal, because this is a sweep. So now the running back has the ball, and we started in position 1. Now he's over by position 4, so he's clearly out of the tackle box. So had this block been from the side, it would have been illegal. But in this case, with the way the B51 falls, we've now established that this is from the front and therefore a legal block. In this last clip, we're looking at the tight end closest to the camera here, and I included this clip just to illustrate that even though the tight end is part of the offensive line, the tackle box means the tackle box. So the tight end is restricted, which means that whether it's play side or backside, if he wants to go low, he has to do it from 10-2. So this is clearly a 3 o'clock block, and as such, this is an illegal block because it's not from 10-2. In this first clip, we're looking at the slot back closest to the camera. So we'll notice that the line of scrimmage is the full yard line, and since we're looking at the blocks 5 yards beyond, that is our reference point in all of these. So now he's more than 5 yards down the field, and here comes the low block. So that is something that is illegal, and we need to call. This being a back judge key, this would be the back judge call, and we are going to call it even though this turns into a tackle for a loss, because as we all know, these block below the waist are safety fouls. Again, we're looking at the slot back closest to the screen, the back judge key, and the line of scrimmage is the -2. So that is our reference. Again, this is, so here is a block that is actually inside of the 5 yard belt. So here the contact happens at about 3.5 maybe yards down the field. So this would be a, compared to the other one, this would be a legal block because it happens before 5 yards. Here we're also looking at the slot back to the short side of the field, if you will, and we'll notice again that the ball is on the full yard line, so we have our reference point 5 yards down the field. Now this is going to be a legal block, and it illustrates a trick that you can use sometimes. It doesn't work all the time, but it works here. So if we see here, our reference point is the full yard line. So the block happens very, very close to the full yard line. The trick is for a back judge or a deep wing to be watching from 15, 20, maybe 25 yards away with a bad angle to see, was this block at 4.9 or at 5.1 yards down the field. That can be tricky. But certainly when we have a full yard line here, we can use the trick to see, well, where is he lying afterwards? So here we have the receiver lying at 4 yards, and the defender is also inside the 5 yard belt. So both of these players are short of the 5 yard line, which makes it very unlikely, and I use that word on purpose, it makes it very unlikely that the block happened more than 5 yards down the field. So if you have doubts, you see this block and you're thinking, whoa, that was close to 5 yards, and you're still thinking about it right now. Now you can see both players, and especially the receiver, is short of the 5 yard line. So if you want to lean on that, you should leave it alone and not call it. Now, again, this is a trick that you can use, and it works sometimes. We'll have a look at another one where it wouldn't work as well, but you know, sometimes is better than none of the time. Compare the previous one. We're looking at the middle trips receiver. Ball is on the full line. So compare the previous one with this one, where the contact also happens at 4.9 yards. So this would be a legal block, but here the receiver actually ends up straddling the line as he's lying on the ground. So here it's not as clear cut that the block was legal as compared to the previous one where he was lying, you know, short of the full line. So here it would be dangerous to say that simply because he is lying across the line, then the block also happened across the line. So it's a trick to use. It's a guideline, but it certainly is not a 100% indicator of what happened. And it also depends on how much the receiver is moving forward. I mean, if he comes flying in, then there's a bigger chance that he will be over the line after the play, even though the block happened at 4.9. But in any case, here this would be a legal block. But if you ended up calling it, I could certainly understand it just based on the way the receiver is lying on the ground after the play. Here we're looking at the slot back at the top of the screen. Line of scrimmage is the +1, so that's our reference. It's not even going to be close here. But this is actually a legal play because there is no contact. Now, even though he manages to impede the cornerback's path to the runner, if there is no contact, there is no foul. So this is low, and it's beyond 5 yards, but it is a legal, I can't even say it's a legal block because there is no block, but in any case, it is a legal play. We're looking at the far slot back, and the line of scrimmage is the +1. And here again, the block is around 4 yards, so this is a legal block, and he even lands inside of the 5 yards, or right at the 5-yard mark. So both of our trick would work here if we have any doubts if this is before 5 yards. So again, legal play. We're looking in this play at the slot back at the top of the screen, and line of scrimmage is the full yard line, so our reference point is the white 50-yard line. And here we see a legal block happens at about 4 yards, and again, even though he rolls beyond 5 yards at the end, both the offensive player and the defensive player, when they go to the ground, are short of the 5-yard line. So again, our trick works if we have any doubts. So in this example, a legal block. Now we move to the offensive line, and we're looking at the guard away from the camera. So we're looking at this guy right here. He's going to come into the defensive backfield, so he'll be easier to pick up. But we notice also that the line of scrimmage is the full yard line, so we have our reference point here. And right there, A55 crosses his 5-yard line, and there he goes and blocks low. So that is certainly more than 5 yards down the field. The real question is, and the block may even be from the side, just based on the way that the defender's leg kicks out there at the end. But in any case, and for this purpose, the purposes of this tape, it certainly is more than 5 yards down the field. Now, who's going to see this? Backside wing would have a tough time seeing this. The umpire has a good view of this, but his focus, as you can probably tell, is in this area instead. So I would really challenge the deep officials to get involved in as soon as we see that this is a running play. We may start out with our own key, a receiver key, a tight end key, but when it turns into a run like this, we really need to try to get into more of a zone type coverage, where maybe the back judge would have a look at this. Maybe the backside wing could be looking at a wide angle to see this, because this is a tough play. Now, this one happens in front of the umpire. Sometimes they happen behind the umpire, which makes it impossible for him to get involved. So if the umpire can see it, great. If the backside wing can see it, great. But I really challenge our deep officials to try to get a more a wide angle to try to pick up some of these blocks, because this is illegal, and this is one that we need to catch. So here's an example of the deep officials taking on this challenge of covering zone down the field. Now, as you've probably guessed, this is way down the field. You look in the middle of the field, there's a block, and it turns into a low block, which is certainly more than 5 yards down the field. And we've got The back judge, we've got the deep wing across the field. We even have a wing on this side of the field calling this. But I included this just to illustrate how important it is for us to keep monitoring, to keep covering, and to keep the wide angle on everything that's happening, and look at these blocks. And as soon as there's something that goes low, obviously the 5-yard line is not critical here, but it's a question of covering the play and noticing the 5-yard or the low blocks down the field and calling it when needed. In this last play, we're looking at the tackle closest to the camera. Now there's a tight end, so don't be fooled. It's the second guy in, and he's going to go to the linebacker level and do a low block. I even think it's from the front, but it's also within the 5-yard belt. So this is a legal block, and again, the umpire might get a look at this. It would be tough for the referee to look this far up. The near side wing is concerned with the catch, and the backside wing has other stuff. So really, for the back judge, he's starting out with the tight end. So he's in that area, and it's in that same area that this block happened. So I would challenge back judges to at least see this block, so that the fact that we don't call it isn't because we're lucky that it was legal, but it was because we saw it and we deemed it to be legal. So again, deep wings or deep officials, we need to get more involved in these linemen coming down the field and seeing these blocks, whether they're legal or not. We need to have an opinion on that. We're looking at the outside receiver at the top of the screen, and crackback blocks are typically done by receivers, so we'll look primarily at receiving blocks. And here the receiver, he goes low and he goes towards the middle of the field, which is technically called the original position of the ball. So here's a clear example of a receiver that goes towards the middle of the field, and when he goes low like this, this is a clear-cut foul, and well done by this field judge to call it. Here we're also looking at the receiver at the top of the screen, and again you'll see a similar situation where he goes low and he goes towards the original position of the ball, i.e. towards the middle of the field. Now, in this situation, he doesn't make as much contact as in the previous play, but for safety foul, this is still enough for a flag, so this should be called as a personal foul, block below the waist. In this example, we're looking at a receiver from the left. He's going to block the outside linebacker B31. So if we follow 31, we'll see the block coming from the outside, and this is actually a legal block. You'll notice that the block it's low, but it's from the front, and it's pretty much north-south. You'll even see that after the block, the receiver is facing towards his sideline, which is a good indicator that it was not a crackback. So here we have compared to the previous two, we have a legal low block by this receiver. We're looking at the receiver at the top of the screen, and he is going to come towards the middle of the screen. He is going to go low, but no contact means no foul. We certainly could have a talk to this guy if we can speak Mexican, But again, if there's no contact, there is no foul, even though this most likely would have been a foul for a crackback had he made contact. Here's another example of where the receiver really tries to do something illegal, but he gets bailed out. We're looking at the receiver on the left side of the screen, and he's going to come in and really try to do a crackback. He's going towards the original position of the ball. He's going low, but as you'll see, number 20 actually initiates contact with his hands, making the contact above the waist, making this a legal block, and the receiver really never manages to make much of an impact. So because B20 puts out his hands and wards off the block, this ends up being a legal block, even though it has all the telltale signs of a potential crackback from the receiver, coming in from the side towards the original position of the ball, and he's going low, but B20 bails him out. So again, this is a legal block. Crackbacks are typically by the receivers, but here every once in a while we get a lineman, and here we're looking at the guard closest to the camera. He's going to pull to this side of the field, and he's going to come back and go low towards the original position of the ball. You'll notice how when he's lying there, his body is pointing more towards the middle and then towards the outside, certainly. But let's just break this down and have a look at how close this actually was to being legal. Because if he manages to stay in the tackle box and the ball is still in the tackle box, this would be a legal block. Also because the block happens right around the line of scrimmage. So ball is in position 4. So if we first, let's look at the ball. And the ball is still in the zone. There is a fake handoff. The quarterback still has the ball. Now it's given to the running back, who's still in the tackle box. Here comes the block, and the runner is still in the tackle box. He's right around position 1. So the ball is still in the tackle box at least. So that's squared away. Now let's have a look at the player. He comes around here, and it does appear right here that he does leave the tackle box. Now, if he had been able to stay within the tackle box, this would have been a legal crackback block. But since he just leaves the tackle box, now he can no longer crack back, making this an illegal block. But it was very, very close, and it's just an illustration that once in a while we get the lineman coming out and then going back towards the grain for a crackback block. But typically these are done by receivers. In this first clip, we're looking at the running back, and we'll notice, and this is general for most peelback blocks, they happen when the play is extended for some reason or doesn't go the way it was supposed to. So if we see the running back here, now so this block is from the side, which makes it illegal also. But if we just look at the peelback part of it, this is more towards the sideline than towards the offensive team's goal line, but it is we have 180 degrees that are towards Team A's goal line, and the other 180 degrees are north, but this is just slightly south. So this is a side block, but it is also a peel block, or it would have been. But you'll notice that the ball is actually still in the tackle box, And for a peel block, the ball has to leave the tackle box first, which also is one of the reasons why the play typically has to develop before a peel block can become a reality. So in terms of peel, this would have been a peel block, but the ball is still in the tackle box, so it is not a peel block. It is, however, a personal foul block below the waist because it's a side block. So in comparison, here we're looking at the running back away from the camera. He's going to get messed up, but then he comes back right there. And so this block is from the front, as you can tell by the way the defender lands on his hands or on his belly. But as when the block happens, the ball is outside of the tackle box, and this is pretty much a 90-degree towards the goal line. So this certainly is it's a peel bag, it's a low block towards Team A's goal line, and the ball has left the tackle box. So this is as much a peel block as you're going to see. Here we're looking at the two receivers closest to the camera, and we're looking at the guy furthest back. And even though this appears to be a low block towards his own goal line, it really isn't a block. And the definition of a block says it has to be on purpose. Here he just kind of falls down, and the defender falls over him. So it's important to see not just the contact, because right there it certainly looks like a peel block. But the field judge, or a peel block, but the field judge does a good job of seeing the entire act and making sure that this is not a peel block, because again, the contact, the block has to be on purpose, and in this case, it is not. Here we're looking at the tackle closest to the camera. And again, you'll notice that it's a play that doesn't entirely go as planned. It's not completely foobarred, but it is, quarterback has to scramble, go outside the pocket. And again, here we don't have a whole lot of contact, but we do have enough. And the ball is outside the tackle box, and the block is towards Team A's own end line. So even though the defender doesn't go down, it's still a safety foul. It's still something that should and is called by this referee. In this last clip, you'll be able to see the similarities to the previous one. We're looking at the tackle away from the ball, so not the tight end, but the tackle who is right now is covered up by the quarterback. And you'll notice that, again, this is it's a rollout, so it's not a pocket type situation. The ball is outside of the tackle box, and here comes it's not your typical run-of-the-mill pass blocking anymore. This is more of an improvised protection of the quarterback, and it's from the front. So it's legal in that sense, but it is towards Team A's own end line, and that makes it a peel back block and something that we need to call. Now, here the referee probably pays too much attention to the rolling quarterback and what's happening out there, which is why he misses this. In a crew of 8, obviously this would the referee here would stay back and would be able to see this because he's giving the quarterback to the center judge. Here, probably the backside wing would have the best shot at this, since the referee doesn't see it. I wouldn't expect the umpire to be able to see what happens here in the offensive backfield. So the backside wing probably has the best shot of this, or the referee. In this first example, we're looking at the defensive end closest to the camera. He's going to block the fullback low. Perfectly legal, and we'll see why. So this is certainly line of scrimmage is the +1. This happens in the backfield within the 5-yard belt, and it is certainly 10-2, pretty much 12 o'clock. So he fulfills both requirements for the defensive low block. So this is a legal block. Again, we're looking at the defensive end closest to the camera, and she is going to block the pulling guard. And again, this happens right at the line of scrimmage. This is clearly a 12 o'clock block. So again, this is a perfectly legal block. Now, who's going to see this? Referee might see this, umpire might see this, wing at the bottom might see this. So as long as somebody picks this up and we know that this is a legal block, we're in good shape. Here we're looking at the linebacker on the other side of the umpire, B40. But before we do, let's just go through the belt. So the ball is the line of scrimmage is the 35, which means that the belt, so to speak, where the defense can low block is between the 30 and the 40. So 5 yards down and 5 yards up from the line of scrimmage. And if we're looking at the linebacker here, the guard is going to shoot out, and the linebacker is going to go low. So this is inside the belt, and this one also is perfectly legal because it is in the 10-2 region. So again, we have a legal block, and hopefully the umpire will have a chance to look at this. You know, it's difficult for the referee center judge to see stuff like this when it happens beyond the line of scrimmage. So hopefully the umpire here, the deep wings or the back judge may be able to get involved, but this happens very quickly and very close to the line of scrimmage. So I would say probably the umpire or maybe one of the wings might be able to help. But in any case, a legal block. Different game, but same linebacker. This time he's lined up closest to the camera, and B40, and he's going to shoot out and take out the running back. And again, this certainly is within the 10-yard belt. And again, I think this is from the front. So again, here we have an example of a legal block, and as it is the fullback, I think I would expect the wing at the bottom of the field to see this. Maybe the umpire will have a chance since it's in his area. I would also expect the referee or the center judge to have an idea, simply because this is a running back that's coming up to potentially do pass protection, and referees, center judges, they need to know what their running backs are doing in this type of situation. But again, you know, this is a legal low block by B. We're looking at B27, the linebacker here on the left. And this is an interesting play because, first of all, this is within the 5-yard belt, so we're good there, or the 10-yard belt. It is also 10-2. You see how the offensive player falls forward, indicating that the block was from the front and not from the side. But also, let's just say that this had happened outside of the 10-yard belt. It's a good illustration of a situation where the defense actually can go low if they're trying to get to the ball or the runner. And in this case, I think this applies here because he is trying to go through the blocker to the runner. He almost gets the runner too, but so even if this had happened outside of the 10-yard belt, this would still be a legal block because of this exception, where if you're going for the ball or the runner, you are allowed to block low as a defensive player. But in any case, this is a legal low block by the defense. In this example, we're looking at B24, the cornerback here closest to the camera. And typically what's going to happen if we have a cornerback against a lineman, what's he going to do? He's going to go low. That's really the only tool he has in his toolbox right now. So expect that if you're a deep wing or you know, anybody who's covering this area and you see a big lineman and a cornerback, and the lineman is honing in, expect the defensive guy to go low. Line of scrimmage is the 25 here, and the potential contact is at the 31. So this is outside of the 10-yard belt. So any low blocks by the defense, unless he's trying to go for the runner or the ball, will be illegal. In this situation, I think we can pass on this simply because it looks like the only contact there really is the offensive player's hands on the defensive player. It doesn't really look like the defensive player makes any contact, but it certainly would be a good situation for talkback and to let him know that he can't go low like that more than 5 yards down the field. But again, you know, be aware of this and recognize that this is going to happen when you have offensive linemen and defensive backs. In this last example, we're looking at the cornerback closest to the camera, and again, this is fairly obvious what he's going to do when we have a pulling lineman going after a cornerback like this. What is the cornerback going to do? He's going to go low, and luckily he does it legally here. He does it within the 10-yard belt, and he does it 10-2. You see how the offensive lineman falls forward. So this is a legal block. But as a deep wing, as a wing, once you see this pulling guard coming out, going for a defensive back, get ready for this action and get ready to rule on this, both in terms of where it happens and how it happens, so that we don't get surprised and we can call these correctly. In this first example, you'll notice there are two return men. One of them will catch the ball, the other one will turn into a lead blocker. So right now he's becoming the lead blocker and he decides to go low. Now once we get this situation, the wing who calls it should be looking, the deep wing should be looking. Not sure the back judge should be looking out that far, but we certainly should have at least two sets of eyes on this, and I'm glad we got one. This is even a side block, so it would be illegal from that point of view also. But as we know, on any kicks or any changes of possession, anything low is illegal. So this certainly is an illegal low block, and good job by the wing to catch this. On this play, we have a similar situation where the ball is caught by one returner, and the other returner turns into a fullback, a lead blocker, and he goes low right there. Very obvious, most likely also from the side, just based on the way the guy goes flying. But again, called by the wing, so good job by the wing to focus in the right area. Also called by a couple of the deep guys. So well done, and we'll have a look at this play also from the end zone camera. So here's the end zone shot of the same play, and the fullback or the lead blocker is going to come out and go low, which is completely illegal on any kicks and any changes of possession. So well done by the wing and the deep wing to cover from the outside in and to catch this highly dangerous and very illegal play. This last example illustrates a legal low block on a kick. It's going to be a kicking team player, so a black jersey right there. The black jersey actually ends up blocking, so K33 ends up blocking green 77 below the waist. But this is in an attempt to get to green number 2, the returner number 2. So once you're trying to get to the ball or the ball carrier, you can block low. So this is this is an unusual situation where with a legal low block on a kickoff.